All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to, no, it ain't a Brit and Yankee podcast. It's a Midwest Brew Review Roundtable.
Oh,
But
sure.
these guys wanted me to introduce them. So I did. My work is now done. What's going on? Who's going to speak for you guys?
What's up? How's it going, Phil?
It's going great, man.
Good. Jay, good to join you, or glad you could join us too over there, Florida, right?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I always like talking to you guys. Anything that's beer related, I'm in for.
Absolutely. So we had this idea. Billy, was this your idea actually?
Yeah. You want me to run it down? Okay, so we started a Facebook group, Midwest Brew Review Roundtable, which kind of coincides with some of our online stuff we're doing and some of our live streams. And the idea was to build a community and kick around cool beer ideas and talk about the local scene. And one of the best ideas that came out of it so far was this idea of comparing some old world beers to some new world beers. So what we all did was we all grabbed a classic European style beer, and then we found a local counterpart, and we're going to go ahead and crack those open and compare them and chat about them, right?
Shall I start?
Do it.
Please.
Okay. Well, I tell you, I have chosen an English pub ale. It's actually, I guess, what you can call an ESB, but not an extra strong bitter, an extra special bitter. So I have Iron Maiden's Trooper, which is, hey, there we go. I knew that Jay was going to. Hey, whenever you point, do you know which way you're actually pointing to the person? So I do, yes, Jay. Yes, Jay. There we go.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And I wanted to do this one because it comes from a brewery in England called Robinson's. And I've got my Furkery glass, my full Imperial Pint Furkery glass. So I'm going to go ahead and crack that open. So this beer is the closest I could find to my local beer that I'm going to talk about later on in the show. Look at that pour. My goodness me, isn't that delightful? And I had to taste one or two of these ahead of the show just because I'd never had it before this. But everybody kept telling me this was the beer that really was a good English pint. And I have to say, it absolutely looks tremendous. Let's turn that around so you can see that. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. How about that? So cheers, boys. That's my extra special bitter. We'll talk about it again. What's Jay got?
I have, let me grab my cheaters. It's a German Pils from Aldi's.
I dare you to pronounce it.
No way. But it's produced in Germany by Prestige Wine and Spirits Group. It's good. It was just bottled not even 3 months ago. I did the Aldi thing just because Phil, you told me about their beer a while back, and I poured it before the show. Kind of hard to see. I know I'm in a dark area, but it's pretty clear. I'm drinking out of my Guinness glass. Which, actually, this one is my mom's. God rest her soul. And it's delicious. For an Aldi beer for $6.99, very good.
So we did an Aldi. We taste tested a bunch of Aldi beers that we just kind of grabbed one time. We did a video on that, and
maybe it was you guys I saw then.
It was so fun. Dude, we had so much fun with that. That was like,
yeah, some of them were bad.
Yeah, some were pretty good. Like I would go out and buy them for a weekend or whatever.
Yeah, but this one is worthy for sure. Like I'm not just saying that. This one I would buy more of because it's inexpensive and it's pretty darn good.
Nice.
Is it a traditional German Pils that you got?
It is. Make me grab my.
I'm assuming
again.
so because it's got an unpronounceable name.
Pils German beer.
Yeah, we have the German Pils. Nice. What is it? Hey, come along. Tell us what is the beer.
It is very good.
That's good beer.
All right. What do you guys got then?
I guess I'll go. I have Belhaven Brewery Scottish Ale. It says rich, nutty, and smooth. So here's this one. Belhaven, 300 beers. Wait, what does it say? 300 years of beautiful beers. So they've been around quite a while. And it says here 100% Scottish optic and crystal barley malts for a nutty biscuit character. balanced with subtle spices from Challenger and Golding's hops. All right, so, I mean, I poured this out a little while ago. It's still keeping that head real nice on top.
And you got a Scottish hat on, haven't you?
Oh, kind of. A little plaid up there, a little Ike and Oak shout out.
That's right, laddie.
Yeah.
There you go. Now. That's it.
Well, this is quite tasty. I really like this. It's definitely like a rich, like nutty, biscuity, smooth, what you want in that Scottish ale. This is...
It's always good to get your Scottish ales from Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say. I mean, 300 years of brewing the same beer, so I think they got it.
Well, Matt, mine isn't quite 300 years old, but close. It's about, I'd say, 203 years old.
Okay.
I went with Bitburger.
Bitburger.
Oh.
So #1 draft beer in Germany, right? I guess it'd be like our Miller Lite kind of, right?
And that's a German Pils, right? Bitburger?
Yep. Yeah. A premium German Pils, yeah. It's an Brit. I don't speak any German.
Oh.
Me neither.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I already poured this one. Lost some head here, but still pretty bubbly.
Out of the big goblet.
Clean beer.
And if I remember rightly, didn't Sierra Nevada do some sort of a collaboration with Bitburger?
Yes, they did, and I haven't had a chance to try it yet. I don't know if you have.
I have.
And?
I didn't think much of it.
Oh, no.
I thought it was just okay.
Can't all be winners.
But there you go.
Nah.
All right. What about Uncle Bill?
Oh, I straight from the old country. I'm a sucker for seasonals. These guys know this, but I have the Eyinger Fest beer here.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, super fresh. This is this year's version. So, and it's never complete unless you have proper glassware. Am I right?
Well done.
That's good.
That's awesome.
I don't know what the lids are for. I'm not like a big history buff on this kind of stuff, but I would imagine it's to keep your enemies from putting poison in your glass, right, man?
I would
Sounds about right.
so, right? Yeah.
Part of that, and I think it's also to keep the oxygen out so it tastes better through the last sip, but I could be wrong.
And
I think I'm going to go with poison.
Stop people spitting in it.
Yeah, I think it's a sanitary measure. I just kind of looked up a little bit, and they were like, keeps bugs out.
COVID, it keeps COVID out too.
Keeps COVID out, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, along the years, we just decided, fuck it. We'll drink the bugs.
Well, cheers, everybody. We've all got our beers.
Cheers.
We'll come
Cheers,
around
man.
and kind of discuss them a little bit further, because I think what I'd like to find out is, what do you guys think of European beers, the traditional ones? I mean, I wish we could share all these. Has anybody had Trooper?
I have.
Okay, Jay, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, so I look at it as it's a little cliche having a music group sponsor or be on a can of beer.
Gimmicky, yeah.
But yeah, gimmicky. I couldn't have the word, but it was good.
Yeah.
It's still a great beer.
Yes.
I know that it's, and I must admit I'm not a heavy metal fan, but I do know who Iron Maiden was, but I didn't know the song Trooper. And apparently it was inspired by the Charge of the Light Brigade. I don't know if you remember that, but onward, onward, into the Valley of Death rode the 300. I don't know. Something like that.
You'd be the only one to remember it. We were on a lot.
Oh, thank you. I was there. But yeah, so the guy, Bruce Dickinson, what was he, the band drummer?
He was the
or
lead singer.
He's a singer, yeah.
Oh, he's a singer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's done quite a few beers with this Robinson's Brewery, and I think this brings out all the best aspects and characteristics of an English special bitter, which is not bitter, which is, a misnomer, I guess, a misnomer, whatever. It ain't right. So, but this is beautiful and biscuity, and it's got all the English hops in it and everything. Comes out delicious, but it's not, at the end of it, it doesn't have any bitterness, which is where the problem comes when people say, what's ESB stand for? So
Well, Phil, I do have a question for you about that. English beers, a lot of them are cask, a lot of them are draft over there. How do they hold up in cans, and are they dialing in the carbonation, or how does that feel to you as far as like authenticity goes?
Well, you've got to definitely separate out the real ales from the ones that come, as you say, in cans and are slightly carbonated. You're never going to get the same mouthfeel or carbonation from a beer that is out of a keg as you do out of a can. They just have to add a certain amount to it. This actually has got minimum carbonation, so it turns out real good. This is got a very nice head, actually, and the one I had earlier, I haven't drunk enough of this. The lacing went down the side real well, which I always find is a good sign for a beer.
Yeah, I think Boddington's is a pub ale, right?
It's a cream ale, actually, but it is it's called Boddington's Pub Ale. Yeah, you're right. And now that's made by one of the big boys. Surprisingly difficult to get now over here.
No, really?
Yep.
See it.
Maybe seasonally. I see it in around March, or around St. Patty's for whatever reason.
Yeah, and Tetley's used to be a good beer as well, but that seems to have gone away. I did get a couple of backup beers just in case I didn't think this one was going to taste like my local beer that I picked. But I may or may not go to those depending on if I finish this. I've had a couple already, you know.
So your first question, also back to it, like, what do we think of European beers? I was kind of thinking about it. I don't have a whole lot of them all the time, and I recently kind of, I don't know. Well, the beers we've brought to a lot of our tastings, Phil, with all the sugar and the IPAs and all that. A lot of big stouts too. But like right now in this season, I don't know why I want to drink crisp Pilsner and lagers right now, and I've eaten them up. And we just did a video at our local new brewery, Goldfinger Brewery. They only do lager beers, and we think they're great. So that's kind of my take on it right now. I'm trying to
degrees out right now.
What's that?
Lagers. It's the perfect weather for lagers. I mean,
yeah.
So, what do you think of the Scottish one?
Scottish one, I'm really enjoying it. Actually, it's as I'm drinking it more, it's kind of like smooth maltiness kind of sticks around a little more, and it's just really smooth too. I was kind of, for some reason, expecting like more bite with the carbonation, but it's a really smooth beer. You can kind of still look at it. It's still got that head.
Look at that beautiful color, and that's not a it's a Scottish ale, not a Shilling ale, or are they the same?
I think they're different. Billy, you know the difference, don't you?
Well, yeah, Billy loves Shilling.
Yeah, we homebrewed a couple of them, and we know there's different. There's the Shilling beers, and then there's a couple different levels of that, and there's the wee heavy. But yeah, we've done quite a few, and it's all just built on alcohol and the heft of the grain bill and the maltiness.
Oh yeah, what was the alcohol of all our beers? I think mine is I don't know. Hang on, I've got to put my glasses on. Talk amongst yourselves.
I would say, Matt, I was going to go back to what you were saying about how you took a couple sips, and I always live by the philosophy that, like even Milk Money, we're doing flights, we're doing tasters, but I think you need to have at least, in my opinion, a minimum of like 7 or 8 ounces of a beer, 4 or 5 sips for sure, to really taste what it's like. Specifically, if you had a different beer before it, you need to clean the palate, which takes a couple sips. Right. So I'm all about having at least, like I said, 7, 8 ounces before you can actually taste a beer.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of allows it to sort of build on itself and kind of really shine through. Yeah.
So mine is 4.7.
Mine's 5.2.
Okay.
Mine's 4.9.
I'm kind of surprised that the Eyinger Oktoberfest is a 5.8. I honestly expected it to be a little bit lower. It's super smooth and it's dry. It's checking all the boxes for me, but like for something you're gonna want to crush a bunch of liters of, and hang out with your friends. I was expecting to be in the mid 4s.
Kind of a big beer, yeah.
Yeah.
Big beer is 4.8.
4.8.
Okay. So we're all pretty much in there. I mean, sounds like Matt's got the strongest one. I've got to watch him. What's the difference between a Fest beer and a Marzen?
Ooh, who wants to feel that?
Well, you're drinking it. You should know.
The Marzen Oktoberfest is the original style, to my knowledge, and Jay, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And that is the one that we would brew in March, hence the name Marzen, and it would be ready in lagering, and it would be ready for the Oktoberfest time. The Fest beer is more of a modern invention, from my understanding, and it's more of a golden, a little lower alcohol, and that's the one you're gonna rip a bunch of at the fest, and you're gonna be okay. As I like to say, you could drink a bunch of these.
You could drink a bunch of these.
Try and stump Bill, man. That was a great answer. Hey, I believe it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was just kind of.
I feel like I threw a lot of confidence behind that. Jay, did you okay?
I think so. I'm not any more an expert than you guys, but I do agree that it is a lower content of alcohol because they want you to be able to throw them down, or I like to say, crush them.
Yeah,
They're very pintable.
Yes,
be able to drink them from a boot, right? So,
yeah, right.
Yeah,
You don't get your nose caught in that lid there, Bill.
yeah. You and all your 20 friends, no covert involved, though.
This is the COVID-friendly glass.
So the pills or the pill styles that Jay and who else? Brian, you're right, yeah. So they're not Helles lagers; they're straight up pilsners, right?
Yeah, mine is.
Smith, I'd like to put a plug in for Art History, who is also doing a couple of really nice European beers, and they've got a. What's that tapper called? Did you find out what that was called? He told when we went out there. He told me, and I can't remember.
I think it's called the Czech side faucet or the Czech side tap or something like that.
Yep.
It's awesome to pour a beer on that,
Very cool. Yeah.
And you get all this wet foam, that sits great. Yeah, I love it.
That sweet foam pour, right?
Yeah. So he was kind of explaining at Goldfinger that you get if you pour a beer normally, the foam kind of has a bitter. If you just drink the foam, it has kind of a bitter flavor to it. But the way they pour it with the wet foam, you get that sweet aroma and the sweet flavor out of it. So there's actually a Czech.
I wasn't there, but I watched the video.
Oh, you weren't there? Okay. Of course, us at the Brit and Yankee, we were there 3 weeks before they opened, so we saw all of it up front.
Naturally, yeah, getting the jump on us, Phil.
Yeah, I know.
The coolest thing I learned from them was the philosophy or the reasoning why they pour it that way, because the head keeps the oxygen out of the beer so you can drink it all the way to the bottom. That's why it's have a thicker head that stays with it the whole time you're drinking it. I never knew that before.
When I poured my pill, there was zero head. Look at that.
Yeah, what happened there?
I was trying to do the camera thing and pour it at the same time. Maybe it was my fault. I don't know.
Some good lacing on mine. There we go.
Pretty good, though.
Look at that. Beautiful. Love it.
I should take a date on this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you bring up dates. That's a very important factor when it comes to things like pills and beers that are not, beers that have the hops in them that fade away, but also the pills, because I don't think they had too many hops in it, but there's something changes with the pills.
I think it's the yeast that's really the star of the show with Pilsners.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where proprietaries, I think, I predict, with my second beer, my local beer, it's going to be quite different based on that lager yeast, Yeah.
Yeah, and also in my beer, the malts are very important, and there's specific types of malts they put in there. And then the hops are, the range of hops that they use to put in here, East Kent Goldings, that sort of thing. I did, for my second beer, I found out exactly what the malt bill was and the hops. So we'll be able to give perfect props to our local guys.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I actually steer clear of a lot of European beers, is because especially the lagers, and you want to drink them fresh, right? And you just don't know sometimes, and they got a long way to travel. So
the date on the bottom of my Bitburger basically says that it's good until it said it was born on date was January 27th.
Okay. Okay.
And it's, I'm not sure how to read European data. I probably can't show this, but it says January 27th, 2020 to January 26th of 2021.
Right, but I was saying is like compared to like a Goldfinger, like, or wherever you're getting it from, Maplewood makes an excellent lager. But like, you're getting a beer, even if it's only like a month old from Europe. There's travel and there's storage and whatnot, and there's it's going to be warm and then it's going to be cold.
Right.
Hey, but wait a minute,
I feel like a fresh Pilsner is going to beat out even one of the best European beers over. Make it trip over, right?
Yeah. Well, what about IPAs? I mean, they went on a 4-month voyage by ship to get from England to India. That's a hell of a time.
Well, I'm guessing those IPAs probably tasted better 2 weeks out than 4 months later, right?
I don't know. Ask the Indian soldiers who were the English soldiers who were out there.
Phil, you were there.
I was there. Yeah, I was. I was at the charge of the Light Brigade too, which is why I chose this. Right. Moving on. So the one thing I think that we take away from this is that depending on the style of the beer is going to depend on how long it's going to last. And I'll bet you your Scottish ale will last a lot longer than the Pils.
Yeah,
and maybe even my pub ale. I looked on the bottom of my can before I tossed it away.
A lot of times those Scottish ales will taste even better with a little bit of age on them.
Yeah, I don't think
we were at Dry City having their Scottish ale, and it had been sitting on there for a while. People are generally scared of high ABV Scottish ales, I would assume. But holy crap, that's when we brewed our beer with them. It was really good.
Yeah,
holy crap.
Good old Oliver.
Little bit of age on those things, and
Yep.
Well, I think it's time for us to drink this beer up, and I'm gonna have Jay. Have you poured your local beer, Jay?
I sure have.
Oh God, we don't even get to see him pour that one.
No, I recorded it. You can put it on here.
Okay, good man. So why don't we turn to Jay, as he's got a beer from Florida, and you can tell us all about these guys and what it is.
This is Crooked Thumb. They're out of Safety Harbor, which is in the Pinellas County, just north of St. Pete. There's a couple breweries in that town. I'm not ripping on either of them. I love them both, but Crooked Thumb has definitely got their lager down pat. And there's another one called Troubled Waters, which is actually owned from a guy who grew up in Bolingbrook, Illinois.
Wow.
I couldn't get their beer, so I got the I'm sorry. I love their beer as well, but I got the the Crooked Thumb Harbor Lager, and it's pouring a little darker than my other beer for sure.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I'd say it is.
And let me take another sip.
That looks more like a Vienna.
Yeah.
You know what? I got to put my cheaters on again.
He's like, it tastes like a Vienna.
It's one of my favorite beers down there. It comes in at 5.2%. It's a little sweeter, a little more malty.
Wow.
Just like a
lager?
Maybe just a copper lager, right?
Kind of, yeah. Like definitely for sure by the color, but actually by the taste as well.
Sure, it doesn't have COVID. You are in Florida.
No, if it does, I got it now. But side note, I'm drinking it out of a stolen glass, which was a Wicked Weed glass from a local restaurant down here that my dad stole.
Oh, there he goes, blaming the aged.
It was on his birthday, and he knew I wanted a glass, so he took it for me.
Way to go, Paps.
Yeah. The guy's in a wheelchair, and he's still stealing shit for us.
Hell yeah.
Nobody's going to come after him in a wheelchair. Oh.
No,
exactly. You in a wheelchair?
Yeah, right?
Hey, the one thing I found out about getting older is you can get away with a lot of shit.
No shit. He does whatever he wants. He either claims, I'm a veteran, you need to help me out, I'm crippled, whatever. He got me this glass because I really wanted it. And then I'm like, we're in the car, and I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, pulling this glass out of his stomach area. And I'm like, was that next to your balls?
Yeah, right.
I for sure had to wash it, but it's a cool glass from Wicked Weed out of Asheville.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
I've been there. Hey, here you go. Here you go, son. I got you a little something for you.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
You have to talk in that accent for the rest of the show, by the way.
All right, Gov. What my lock, stock, and smoking barrels.
Right, yeah.
So, whereabouts? So, whereabouts are you, Jay?
I am in St. Petersburg, so I'm basically in Pinellas County. In this particular area, there is a ton of breweries. I would rank it close to Chicago or Asheville or Denver. There's a lot of them opening up, and some that have been closing down because of the COVID. If you're strictly just a brewery, you can only do to-go service. But if you have food, you can have people come in and hang out. And I forget, they just changed it recently. It might be back to where breweries can have people in them or now again, but I always forget. I usually pick up the stuff at the brewery and leave just because half of them, you have one seat and then 10 feet away someone else. And I'm like, hey, how's your beer down there? So I'd rather just take it home and drink it by myself.
I just Googled breweries in St. Petersburg, Florida, and apparently, you know how like up here, what do we have? Malt Row in Chicago.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? So you guys have it's called the Gulp Coast.
Yeah. I actually have a shirt that says the Gulf Coast Breweries on it. I was going to wear it tonight, but like I said, I just cruised down from the beach after a date night.
Yeah.
And I didn't even change, so I got my Pollyanna shirt on. But
Nice.
Speaking of Pollyanna.
oh yeah, even down here they do.
Now, so which one was that? Because that was
Pollyanna
kind of a little bit. I couldn't really see because
Pollyanna Pills.
Right. Pollyanna Pills. Yeah,
there it is.
Nice.
Beautiful. So
I helped Brian to make that recipe for that beer.
You said, say that again?
I said I helped Brian decide on the recipe for that beer.
Nice.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right.
Obviously, it's yes, I did.
I can't talk shit about it.
Right.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Jay used to work up at the Pollyanna in Rosalia. Rosalia, Roselle. Oh my God. How many have I had here? Next.
I just opened mine.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, I'm on my next beer, aren't you guys? You guys just
let's have a look at your pour.
I didn't open yet.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I should probably. You want me to record that too, huh?
What do you got, Bill?
I have I did Iyengar originally, and now I'm doing the Chicago. I got the Dovetail Oktoberfest or Fest beer, but it's a malty, autumn-colored, party-making beer, 6.7%.
I knew you were going to do Dovetail. I had a feeling. I didn't know what
they're actually a percent above Iyengar, which I have a problem with. I want lower ABV, beers if I'm gonna like crank some liters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
All right, here we go.
All right, look at that, a lovely pour.
I was a little more.
The problem you got there, Brian, is you're putting pills into a chalice.
I know, right?
It ain't a fucking Trappist beer. All right, what's Matt got? He's pouring right now. We can see him doing something below where his hands were below. Okay, what do you got?
Below deck.
I poured too hard. I couldn't do it. I need a third hand.
And you're pouring us.
We need 5 minutes.
Hey, we lost Bill, so you got time for that to settle.
Well, I was about to. I ran out of space in my glass, so I had to just kill the rest of that.
And okay, so wait a minute. So you got Brian drinking a pills out of a chalice.
And I got
you drinking a local Scottish out of a freaking pills glass. What's going on there?
Well, this is like the only one close to a what's the name of it? The Scottish glass.
Thistle.
A what? A thistle. It's the closest thing I got. So
okay.
Anyway,
I don't care.
So I'm drinking Robert the Bruce by Three Floyds, which is a Scottish ale. So not super local to us, but local in the Midwest here. So Indiana.
40-minute drive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could go drive and get this beer. Trying to see how much what the percentage is.
Did they reopen, or are they shut down for now?
I'm not sure. Are they
Brew Pub closed down.
Yeah.
Pub's down. Yeah, they're still producing.
I think it's pretty high, that Robert the Bruce, because I have to admit the original Yankee on the Brit and Yankee, he and I used to love that beer. I still like it a lot. It's a great representation of a Scottish ale.
So yeah, Matt, can you talk about Robert the Bruce versus the Belhaven? Because we've talked about this on the side that Americans, obviously like to crank up to 12 just about everything a European wants to do, and wreck all the subtleties out of it.
Yeah, smelling it, it's kind of actually less of an aroma coming out of it. It's definitely darker. I mean, look at that. That looks kind of really dark on my camera. I can still see through it. It's not really coming through like that, but it's dark. It's really dark. And I know other Scottish ales I've seen are dark too, but that last one seemed a little lighter. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, so it's different. Like if you told me they were different styles, I would kind of say I would believe you. It does taste a little more alcohol, content. As far as I looked it up, it's 6.5%. So not that much more. The other one was 5.2. I think it's a little less malty, a little less kind of less biscuity, I guess you could say, than the other one. But I think it's got a real strong initial flavor here. I need a few more sips, as we were just talking about.
So I forgot to ask Brian, what did you think of, or did you not taste it yet? What did you think?
I did. So, like I said, Jake can probably speak to this more than I can because he was there when they were kind of inventing this beer. But I think Pils in general, it's really the yeast that stands out. That's what you're tasting, and these days you got a lot of breweries that have chem labs in their breweries now that they're trying to come up with proprietary yeast. I will say, I think to be honest, I think the Bitburger tastes a little bit more clean. I think the yeast character on this beer has a little more, I don't know the best way to describe it, but it has a little more tinge or a little more funk to it, a little more skunk maybe. And not in a bad, you know what I mean, in that lager yeast way. But the color on it is freaking beautiful. I mean, it's a great tasting beer. I would assume that they're probably using Hallertau hops, which is traditional for Pils. But yeah, it's a winner.
I don't remember what hops he was using. I will say a side note to that particular beer, Pollyanna, and I don't have my glassware with me. It's inside. I could grab it, but they made a Pilsner glass with the Pollyanna hop logo on the bottom. And so I filled one with the Pollyanna Pils, and I put it on the windowsill, and I watched it for 3 hours. It still was developing bubbles in it. And everyone's like, why would you do that for 3 hours? Well, I wanted to see how long it would go and still produce bubbles from the little emblem that was etched in the bottom of the glass.
Yeah.
It was 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not going to take 3 hours to drink a beer. I'm like, if I take 30 minutes, it better be a freaking 18%.
You guys probably wouldn't be drinking this out of a chalice either, right?
Right. And the one other thing I know, I vaguely remember, not vaguely, but I do remember about the Pollyanna Pils is I think it had a little bit of sweetness to it more than some other beers. Just my opinion.
I'm fine. Yeah, I would agree with that. Compared to I don't know. Again, maybe Phil could speak to this. Maybe you could speak to this. But Bitburger, I would assume to be somewhat of a benchmark as far as a Pils goes, just in general. But yeah, this thing, this in comparison was definitely a bit sweeter. And like I said, I think the lager yeast was a bit more pungent, a little stronger on the mouth feel.
Yeah.
So Jay, how did you like the comparison with your Pils, local Pils to your oldie Pils?
Yeah, I would say the Crooked Thumb is definitely a sweeter, more malty, and I don't even know it's a lager. I don't know. It's not even a Pils. So I didn't get the right beer to compare, but It was definitely sweeter and more malty from the local beer, but not to produce or not to like promote Aldi, but Aldi has some good ass beers for cheap prices. If that particular week you're strung out for money, hit Aldi up for a couple beers.
And that's not bad. I don't think that's one that we tried either. I think we tried more of like the freaking like IPA style beer they had there.
Ours were domestic. I think all domestic too.
Yeah, they were all made in the same brewery in like New York or something like that. They all said the same,
Bill.
Yes.
Have you poured your local brew yet? And what's your comparison?
Absolutely. So I'm doing Iyengar, for those of you who are keeping score at home, versus Dovetail Oktoberfest. And it's very interesting. Dovetails is a whole percent and maybe a 1.1 or 1.2 higher. Iyengar had the more richer, bigger like caramel flavor, like. And Dovetail was a little more subtle. It had that toasty, bready, thing you're looking for, a lighter caramel. Both of them finished dry. You know what I hate is with a lot of these local Oktoberfests. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite styles. It's definitely my favorite seasonal. So I sample frequently. But a lot of the local ones, what they get wrong is they'll get a little too caramel sweet with the whole deal. Like they try to get a little too fancy or a little too heavy-handed with the specialty grains. Yeah. And this is definitely Oktoberfest is a balancing act, and it should always finish dry. And Iyengar, I got to tell you, like I was shocked at like how big of a flavor they got, but it also just kind of finished out dry and it was gone, and it made you want to drink more. So I like them both. I
heard once that if it was a good fest beer / I guess fest beer is just they produce that for festivals, right? It's not like the Marzen like Itasca Fest from Church Street. But if it finishes nutty, then it's really true to style. If it finishes, as you said, caramel sweet, then it's more of a US version.
Yep. Yep, and that's what I see with a lot of the U.S. versions. I wouldn't go over 6% on a fest beer, right? I mean,
we're on chug 'em, right?
I got to get my boot out.
I did go out to Oktoberfest once back in '99, I think it was, when you guys were in school, and we went to one of, I can't remember which tent it was, Paulana, that's what it was, and it was basically the lager style beer that you got there, not the traditional fest beer. But I did still manage to get through 5 liters of it. I don't know how I did that, but I did it.
Oh my God.
Wow. I think it's just the magic of being there, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like right?
Special powers. Yeah.
Well, I've got my beer, local beer, and I've got in one of these cool-looking howler type. I don't know if it's a howler or what it is, but it's Brother Chimp's Shiler, which is his English pub ale. You got this plastic thing, and you pull that off, and that's the equivalent. Hang on a minute, guys. I can't get it off. Oh, there we go. So this is the equivalent.
Tune in next week and watch Phil open a beer.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
It's the equivalent of putting that stuff on it. Okay, now it's too slippery and I can't open it. So I'm gonna there we go.
Pressure's on.
Right, I got that. I have my Brother Chimp glass. There we go. So we're going to pour that out there. Now, this is called Shiler, and Steve Newman out there in North Aurora was one of these guys who opened up his brewery, or was trying to open his brewery up the week that they declared COVID a bad thing, and everybody had to close down. Well, we know COVID's a bad thing. There we go.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I can't relate to that at all.
What?
I can't relate to that at all.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got the moment. So he made this one, which has got a base malt of Maris Otter. He's got a little flake barley in it. I'm reading here. He told me what it was. And a little caramel in there, a dash of chocolate malt, and a pinch of roasted barley. I like the way a pinch.
That's a pinch.
And the hops were Willamette and EKG. So this pours out absolutely delicious. The first thing I notice is it's a little lighter in color. You can see it's just a little bit lighter, a little bit more golden, but the aroma from it is really a lot different to the Trooper, not quite so malty. And when you taste it, it's really awesome. Did you taste that?
Got it.
Oh, yeah.
So, while you're drinking.
His beer has a little bit more of a bite to it. The hops stand out a little bit more, not quite as smooth. But from the perspective of being a pub ale, I think he originally did this as an ESB, and I said it's not an ESB. But as a pub ale, something you can push down your neck. I think this is 4.5. There it is on the front there. This is awesome because
it's open, Phil.
Yeah.
How long has Brother Chip been around for? Oh wait, you just said that.
Since the beginning of March. Yeah, they're out in a very small strip mall in North Aurora, and Steve has managed to brew beer and sell it to go because he's really close to. I don't know if you know Woodman's, which is in North Aurora. He's right close to that. There's a lot of houses around there. And then he did just to help himself and then have a restaurant help him. They did a thing with a pizza place behind him, Raimondo's. And so he has managed to survive and done quite well through to-go sales. And he hasn't canned anything other than in these rather awesome things, which incidentally, I wash these out. And then if I've got a howler that I've opened and I don't want to drink it all now, I'll pour it in here, turn the top on, put it in the fridge. You're good for the next day.
Nice.
How many offerings do they have right now?
I think he's got about 8 taps. Could have a little bit more.
A lot.
Yeah, he's making, and actually he just hired a brewer. This is what I would say is the best pub ale I've tasted a long time. If you want kind of almost authentic English pub ale.
I don't think we see a lot of English pub ales done locally in local, breweries. Where would you suggest going for anyone watching if they wanted to try that style and see how it comes?
Well, let's see. Brother Chimp. No. I know Art History is going to be producing an ESB, a bitter. But they were so successful with all their other beers that they had to stop doing that one first and produce the others. But I think he said he's going to produce it in a month or so. I can't remember many places. It's kind of like English mild, right? Bill?
Riverlands, right, Phil?
Arthur B's pub ale. Now that's a dark mild.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not quite the same bitter, an ESB, if you will. I was trying to think now. They're very few and far between.
I really like that one from Riverlands, though. That was really good.
If you guys go in, do you guys know of any other English bitters or anything like that you've come across? You got any down in Florida, Jay?
No, I just was looking at my phone, like what beers I had down here, and I know I had one down here. I can't remember which brewery it was, but between putting on the readers and it being 10 o'clock here or after 10 Florida time, and I worked a full day at the bike shop, I'm tired. So, but I will find out and I'll let you know for sure.
He's getting old.
Yeah.
So I came down here.
What, out of your choices, do you prefer the European or the US? Or is it that they're so different that, doesn't matter? We're comparing apples to pears.
All right. I'll go with this one. So I've been thinking about this because I went kind of first. I'm coming back to it. I've drank a lot of it now. This is a bigger beer. The U.S. version is just bigger. It just feels and tastes bigger. I don't know if that's my adjective for it or anything like that. But it's got more alcohol to it. You can taste that. It also has a bigger punch of I feel like the malt character is hitting you a little bit harder. My review has been changed to, this is the beer that you will drink when you spill the blood of your enemies and drink it out of your enemy's skull, which Billy has said before as well. yeah, this is like the victory beer. The one earlier, the the traditional Belhaven one. This is the one I would drink on a daily basis. I think I can nail these. Like it was super good. I think the Three Floyds had more of a caramel flavor. This one had more of a malty, biscuity flavor. I guess if that makes sense. Biscuity, nutty. Yep. I guess nutty, biscuity flavor. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think I prefer the original, the Belhaven, the traditional. But this is a great. I like the Three Floyds beer for sure. So
I don't have a skull, but I do have a horn.
I almost went and got my horn. All right, hold on.
There he goes.
He's got a skull. He does have a skull. All right.
He's got a horn.
Shit. Where's my horn?
So what do you think, Bill? What's your favorite there?
I'm going with the traditional as well. The Iyengar. Both of them had awesome flavors, and here's the other one. Both of them were very well made, awesome flavors. They're both incredible beers, and honestly, it almost comes down to ABV for me. Like I prefer a lower ABV Oktoberfest just because if I'm celebrating and having a good time, I don't want to stop at 2. I want to keep going. So and the Iyengar finished dry, and it had that little caramel and toasty bready touch to it. It was really, really good. So.
Oh look, he's got his horn.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Bill. I like to down it quite fast, and if you have 2 or 3 of them, you want to at least be standing upright.
Right, that's the kind of the purpose of the beer and the idea of the Oktoberfest in general. So the more flavor you can pack and the lower ABV and drier beers is the one you want.
Brian, despite the fact that you had an argument with your hairdresser, what do you think of your beer?
That's funnier than you know, Phil. I'm going with the Bitburger, actually.
Yeah.
They've been doing it forever. There's a reason why it's the number 1 beer. I mean, obviously, if I had to make a comparison, I would say it's probably the Germany Miller Lite equivalent or Bud Light or whatever, right? That's the one that you go to a football match, right, and you slug a ton of them. I think the Pollyanna Pils has some great flavor. I think I wouldn't drink a ton of them as much as I would the Bitburger, and I feel like Pilsners are one of those, like we said, crushable beers. But I am super down to try some more Pilsners, and I know there's a billion of them over there.
Hey, sounds like a show.
Taking it on the road, baby.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Jay, before you fall asleep, which one do you prefer?
I'm not even tired. My eyes are drooping. I'm not well, I am a little bit, but no, I would say definitely I like the traditional European beers for the flavor and the alcohol content because they're lower. If I'm at an outdoor event and it's local, I want to drink local beer. But I also know that if I have 3 or 4 of those local beers, I'm going to be falling asleep or not being able to drive home. So I'm torn. It just depends on the situation I'm at. If I can only have 2 beers, yeah, I want something local because I want to be able to support a local brewery.
Yep.
But flavor-wise, it's hard to beat recipes that have been done for 100, 200, 300 years. I don't care how many times you try. Even if you're the best brewer in the world right now, it's hard to replicate the exact recipe they had from 300 years ago. My beer of choice when I have to drink something that's not local is Pilsner Urquell. Like my grandmother drank it. Everyone in my family drank it. We check. How can we not drink Pilsner Urquell?
I have to agree with you there. I that was one of the first lagers I ever drunk in the pubs.
Yeah.
We used to just call it Pils. And,
right.
And that's where the original, that's where it originally came from, I guess, right?
Sure.
What? Sorry?
I mean, adding, I think at the end of the day, if you're watching this, and I think the most important thing to do is to make sure to try the traditional style. See where those beers came from. I think that's the important part to this because, like I said, Bitburger, it's 213-year-old brewery, right? These guys have been doing it forever, like Jay said. That's the benchmark, right? Now, we talk a lot about, bourbon barrel aging and how Goose Island is the benchmark. But if we're talking like all these old traditional styles, you got to go try those old world styles, because that's what everyone's technically trying to be like, right? Or improve.
True.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. That's absolutely it, and that's why I'm going to go split decision on mine, because I threw away my glass. I'll throw away my can. So Trooper, if anybody sees Trooper out there in, like, I think it's in Binny's, that's where I got mine. I'm sure it's elsewhere.
Yeah.
Grab a 4-pack and try it, because I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's very crushable, very pintable, sessionable, whatever all the other words you can do. You know, just drink a few of them. And as I say, you know, my local one here, Brother Chimp, every time I go there, I have a pint of this, because I know this is a really good beer that appeals to me. Now, my taste buds started a lot earlier than you guys, and it started with this type of beer. So that's kind of what I'm tuned into, which is why maybe I don't like the hazes.
Probably, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks a lot for allowing me to hijack your roundtable.
Thanks for running it. Thanks for making sure it didn't go off the rails, Phil.
I hope the interruptions come out well. So I think, you know, it's cheers from everybody. And I've only got one thing to say, and it's time, gentlemen, please. Get up your wives. Come on, off you go. Out you go. Bye. Cheers, folks.
Cheers.
Cheers.